Hello.
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 Let's go!
Hey, kids.
Hey, Dad.
War crimes will be prosecuted.
Knock you out. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. I'm rocking my pants. What's up?
Hi, and welcome to the High Fives Punk Rock Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is my co-host, Justin. Hey, Justin, how are you?
I'm surviving, Mike. I am, for what feels like the infinite time, sick again. I don't know how this keeps happening.
I told you to stop licking the trays on the airplanes.
Mike, don't tell me how to live my life.
I won't, but maybe you got to start doing more workouts in jean shorts.
Yeah, raw milk and jeans on cold plunges.
Vitamin D.
Yeah, no.
Vitamin D cures everything.
Maybe it's because I took Tylenol.
Anyway, Justin, well, thanks for doing this, even though you're under the weather. I appreciate you trudging through this. We'll try to keep the coughs to minimum.
I will do my best.
I promise. Well, I was talking about myself. You cough away. You cough and sniff all you want. I'll leave the mumbling up to me. What's new other than being sort of sick?
Not a whole lot. Yeah,
Not a
No.
whole lot.
just kind of.
Did you finish your book?
I did.
yet?
I finished Project Hail Mary. I went and saw the movie. I quite liked it. It was all very enjoyable.
So which is better?
Book for sure.
Jurassic Park style, hey?
No, it's,
Jurassic Park book's better.
think so.
Don't pretend like you read it.
I have read it.
Just kidding. I don't know.
I have. It's been so long. The video game, for the Sega. Was it Sega?
Oh, God,
Sega
that game was so
CD?
hard.
It was impossible. That was based on the book,
Yes.
not the movie, which is weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird actually thinking about it, especially for that time. I feel like every movie or TV show or was it like any sort of product had a video game.
Yeah.
I recall a 7-Up Spot Guy video game that I owned. Like, why would I buy
Yeah.
that?
Who needed Spot or Fido Dido to
It was a
have
fun
their
game.
own video game?
And there's like a McDonald's game, and I saw there's a guy on Instagram that's got like, he just plays old video games. There's a home improvement video game. No one needed a home improvement video game. We're probably at the stage in life where people will start reviving those video games. So that part of the cycle. What else? What else is new? I was having a discussion with somebody the other day, and I'm curious. This isn't one of my Justin questions, so I'm not just throwing you on the spot. But I'm curious, what was the first album you bought that you didn't want your parents to know about? Like, do you remember that, or your parents cool?
No. So weirdly, in elementary school, I listened to a lot of gangster rap.
As we all did.
So like Ice-T, was probably the big one, or NWA. But I do have a very distinct memory of getting somebody in school had a tape of Two Live Crew, As Nasty as They Wanna Be, before it got banned, or maybe it was never banned in Canada. Maybe you could always get it, but it's a hard thing for like a 9 or 11-year-old to get their hands on. So I had a copy of it, but I had it dubbed over an MC Hammer tape with the classic, like when you put the Scotch tape over the tabs on the
That's a
top.
good move.
And from the outside, it looked like MC Hammer, and then if you hit play, it was Two Live Crew.
Like, so this whole came up because I was having this conversation, and I swear you weren't allowed to buy something if it had the parental advisory sticker. You had to ask at HMV, like there was on the counter,
stuff,
or an adult had to buy
yeah.
it for you. Yeah, okay, I didn't make that.
No,
up,
not
right?
at all. There's stuff on the floor that had the sticker on it, but there was also stuff that was only behind the counter. Yeah.
Okay. Like my parents were super lax. They didn't care. I think my parents just wanted me to fit in, so they were like, "Yeah, go ahead," or they didn't know. Sometimes having immigrant parents was like useful. They didn't know better. My mom should have known better, but my dad definitely didn't. But I know I asked for Snoop Dogg's album when it came out for Christmas, and I got it. And then I think like my mom, like maybe a few weeks later, was like, did that guy just get arrested for murder? And I was like, maybe. She's like, I don't think you should be listening to that. And then that was as far as it got. A suggestion, and maybe don't listen to that. But I do remember asking people to buy like almost like booting so I could get like gangster rap CDs, which is hilarious. That was my little sidetrack. On that topic, Justin, what explicit things have you been listening to lately? I assume it's explicit.
All explicit. That was a brief pause for a cough. A couple things that have come across my headphones lately. The newest release from Good Sleepy, which I think they've recorded and put out themselves. Do you know who Good Sleepy is? I'm sure you do.
No, I don't.
Well, look at that. It's a full-length record. It's called Constant Humming. Came out just last month in February. The record was produced by Chris Freeman of Hot Mulligan. So I think that's probably what got me to give it a listen. It's sort of like very true to form Midwest emo. Lots of tracks about relationships and being sort of stuck in your 20s or maybe 30s and not sure where your life is really going.
This seems to be a trope.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. A lot of like nostalgia and like unspoken feelings and that kind of stuff. Like it's nothing new, but it's always it's if you like sort of very true to form emo, Good Sleepy. Check it out.
It's almost like when you get into your 30s, 40s, you're like, oh, fuck, life's not so great. Let's be reflective on ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, it turns out like finishing college doesn't solve all your problems. It probably only just starts them off.
I had this, like, I'm sure other people have this, it's nothing, but when you're a kid, you think adults have everything figured out, and then you realize that everyone's just flying by the seat of their pants for the
100%.
most part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't know when it sort of sets in.
I don't know when it clicks, but I feel like my parents at my age, I feel like they had things figured out, but now I know they probably didn't. So anyway, good to be depressed about stuff and questioning life, and there's always good music for it.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone going through the same thing that can put it into better words than a lot of us can. The other one that just came to me, because it just came out a couple of weeks ago, is the new Shoreline record. Is this the low point or the moment after? Speaking of the way life goes, I think this one's pretty true to form for Shoreline. So if you like that kind of emo punk, tiny bit screamy sound, it'd be worth checking out. Came out on Pure Noise Records, which I think is a really solid track record of great albums and bands on it. So lots of good tracks on this one. I've given it a few listens through, and I really do like it.
Pure Noise is kind of interesting. I feel like out of nowhere they just like turn into one of the bigger labels for the kind of music you like out of nowhere.
Yeah, actually looking sort of through their catalog, I'm like, wow, they put out a lot of the stuff that I really kind of gravitate to.
I wonder if they're like that stepping stone from like pretty independent labels to like not a major, but like big enough to get you solid distribution and maybe like promotional stuff in a different way than, let's say, so probably on like, on the lanes of like Vagrant, how Vagrant was or whatever, it went back in the 90s or whatever, in the early 2000s. So like a stepping stone above your like Asian Man Records or something like that, or Red Scare. And then anyway, sorry, that was just I'm just talking and rambling now, so it's almost like I'm the one on cough medicine and not you.
We can all be on cough medicine. It's good for you.
Wasn't that a big fad at one point, like drinking cough medicine to get high? Scissor?
Yeah, isn't that what grape drink is?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Also a Flaming Moe.
Yes. I did. Did I send you the recipe for Flaming Moes? I feel like on our dude trip we should be trying Flaming Moes. I might have to break my no drinking rule to have one just to try it. I don't think it had actual cough medicine in it though in this recipe. I hope not, because I don't know if you can. Oh, we'll find out. Send us your best cough medicine drinks.
Yeah, let's hear what we're doing with cough medicine here.
keep us young and hip.
The other one that I don't even know how I came across this record because it's not in the wheelhouse of things I would normally find. But the band is Swallows Rose, and they're a melodic punk band from Bavaria, Germany. Maybe they're in one of those videos I was watching.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack, yeah, really. I don't think it fits some of the scenes, but they just released what I believe is their third full-length album called The Beginning. It's just actually kind of nice to kind of hear bands that are like a really good throwback to like 90s kind of skate punk. Remind me of bands like, Millencolin was probably the one that came to mind the most. Just kind of like a good mix of like a little bit of pop sensibility with a little bit of punk aggression, and like a good sound that is not stuck in the 90s, but certainly a really good nod to it.
I think Europe does that really well. Kind of sticking with that sound, but making it their own.
That's exactly it. It's the making it your own. It's not trying to sound like the bands of our youth. It's but it's just an influence that they can't ignore.
Cool. I'll have to check them out. That's 2 albums on here I haven't heard. You're doing good.
Oh, look at that. I did try to I felt like the last year, who am I kidding? The last several years, I've been so far behind on new releases that I'm trying to stay on top of things and be a little bit more proactive in my listening.
Good, Justin. Do you have any more picks?
No,
or
that was,
three.
Three's
Three's pretty good. I respect it. All right, Justin. So I got 4 picks because.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
rules.
Three's fine. But you got 4.
Yeah, it's all about winning. I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Anyway, first band is a band from Southern California, I believe Anaheim. The band is called Mr. Radical, which I can just see your face.
Say no more. We know exactly why you listen to them.
For sure. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm going to listen to this. It's called their promo EP. It's 6 songs of fast, straight ahead hardcore punk, kind of like late 80s, early 90s skate and hardcore bands. They have songs like Hardcore Sucks, Shredding, and their opener is just called Mr. Radical. So it's a pretty short, quick EP. Great listen. The artwork is rad. Their footage from their shows looks awesome. I was reading somewhere that like Southern California's got like specifically LA has like amazing punk scene right now. Like back to like the DIY stuff, like people doing backyard shows and it being huge and stuff down there again, which is kind of cool. So I kind of feel like this band might be into that scene. It's just killer, and I suggest it if you like that kind of stuff. If you want to go for a good skate, it's a good album for that too. Next up is a band called Carrion Spring, and their new album, Those We've Lost and Continue to Lose. Do you like Carrion Spring? Have you heard them before?
Is it spelled Carrion like
Carrion?
Yeah, okay. Isn't that like Carrion is like, isn't it like dead animals?
Is it? Well, I don't know. I'm going to trust you on this one.
Yeah. According to dictionary.com, it's the decaying flesh of dead animals.
That is the most emo, screamo thing I've ever heard of, so it tracks. Anyway, Justin, you would really like this band, especially this album. It's a follow-up to their 2023 EP, How It All Falls Away, Pedal by Pedal. It's produced by the guitarist from Converge. You can tell they really spent time on this album. Like, the recording on it is really tight. Everything, it just feels in the right place and the right time for it. There's shades of At the Drive-In for me on this album, which is something that wasn't really on their other ones. Their other albums were more akin to like 90s screamo and emo bands, and this one's got a little bit more post-punk to it, but it's just so good. I love that they've kept up with their song titles. They have some really great song titles like So Long and Thanks for All the Microfiche and The World Is No Longer a Beautiful Place and I Am Afraid to Die. which I thought was perfect. Anyway,
That's great.
they're an awesome band. I feel like they're from Portland. So
That's
and
what was it their last album you said? It was something about like breaking down pedal by pedal.
how it all falls away pedal by pedal.
Even that just sounds like something like bicycle related from Portland.
And they do an awesome Death Cab cover on that EP. Not on the new one, but on the EP, which is a weird thing to say. Like, Death Cab's not a band that gets covered a lot, I don't think.
Awesome.
Anyway,
Okay.
Justin, you would love that
Carrion
album.
Spring. I'll check it out.
Thanks for letting me know it's about dead carcasses. Next up is Unichapel. Unichapel and the Glow In demo EP. Unichapel is John Reddit, formerly of bands like War Baby and Jewel and Sea of Is. And full disclosure, John's a friend of ours. But he lives in Toronto now, so I haven't seen him probably in like 10 years. Have you seen, when was the last time you saw Johnny?
I can't even tell you.
Yeah. I've had some phone calls with him about Jewel stuff, but that's about it. Anyway, Unichapel's rad. Sort of, it's lo-fi acoustic folk stuff. If you ever listen to Sea of Is, it's more along the lines of Sea of Is than his other work. And I know this is the first time John had ever recorded and done everything by himself. So he did the whole thing all by himself at home. This album has an Elliott Smith quality to it, which is like a high bar for this sort of thing. But for some reason, when I listened to this demo, it automatically invoked that comparison. So really liked it. And John's one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. So I hope we get more from this project. And if you're into one of those acoustic-y bedroom lo-fi things, you should check it out. And I guess maybe we should move it to 3, because 4 seems like I'm talking a lot.
No, you go on. Keep dominating this conversation. It's okay.
That's what I do. Last album is by a band called the Darts USA. I think they have to have the USA because there might be another Darts band.
That's the classic Bush X.
Yes. And their album, Halloween Love Songs. This album I've been waiting for a long time. I was sent the single from their PR guy before Christmas, maybe, and I just been waiting for it. It's so good. They're from Seattle, been around for a while. I think their first EP was out in like maybe 2015 or 16, something like that. I probably should have done some research, but it's a good 10 years. Halloween Love Songs is exactly like you imagined. It's garage, surf, rock and roll with a spooky edge. Kind of shades of the Cramps, Rocket from the Crypt, the Corettes, maybe a little bit of Murder City Devils. And nothing says spring like Halloween, right? So some of the songs on the album are Zombies on the Metro, Vampires in Love, and Every Night is Halloween. It's perfect for your Count Floyd-esque Halloween party. And when I listen to it, some of it reminds me of like, did you ever watch the 60s Spider-Man cartoon? I'm sure you did, because we didn't.
Yeah.
You know when they like have dance parties?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that kind of like psychedelic stuff. It sort of has that feel to that too. Everything about this band is really cool. Artworks, the imagery, the lyrics, their videos are cool. And if it isn't enough, the lead singer Nicole also released an amazing album this month under a pseudonym called Black Violet. And the album's called Dark Blue, and it's complete opposite. It's loungy neo-soul stuff, which is also fantastic. Completely different than the Darts, but if you're a fan of jazz or lounge stuff, or like someone like Amy Winehouse, you should check it out. Both albums are worth checking out for very different reasons.
That's an interesting sort of, I guess not a parallel, but like just to run, like for an artist to be able to sort of go between two very different things like that.
Yeah. So, and I was looking it up, and the Darts are touring Europe right now, but then she also does shows. So it's probably like you could probably broaden your horizons pretty quick. Like if you're playing like a punk bar, but you can also do a lounge that night or something like that too.
True.
It's cool. Anyway, both are really good. Very different, but both very good. And I think that's all I've been listening to. Actually, I've been listening to a lot of stuff, but that's all I'm going to talk about. It seems like there's a lot came out in the last.
It does. Yeah, it's
maybe.
already, we're 3 months into the year and it does feel like there's been a lot released, so it's good.
Yeah. But now we should get to our topic.
Yeah. Why don't you explain this topic, Mike?
How am I going to explain this topic? That's a good question. It's kind of a weird topic. So last episode, we had kind of brought up how, specifically Saves the Day we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
And I had said, well, the later albums you kind of like throw away and don't really care about but if you sometimes go back and listen, there are some good things in there, and sometimes it's worth a revisit. So the topic, we started tossing around how we could maybe highlight some of these albums later in a band's catalog. So not necessarily a revisit, but more of like, I guess later in a catalog of an older band, right? Or a band that's put out a number of albums.
Yeah, this isn't about like bands that are either like reuniting or even that have had a long lapse between releases, although I think that's almost like a natural, like, you know, if bands break up or go on hiatus and then come back. But I think like actually comeback is probably like maybe a good way to put it, or at least like...
Well, so I guess we could all agree, like sometimes if a band has been around for a while, there's a lull.
Yeah.
It's not even that they're necessarily putting out bad stuff. It's just like a lull. You're not excited about the band that much anymore. And then all of a sudden you listen to an album, you're like, oh, that's why I like them. Or they've like reignited something. Or there's the idea that like the Weezer idea that, oh yeah, ideally I'm always going to want to listen to the Blue album, but maybe like something off, like one of the Ratitude is good. And I just kind of forgot that it was good. And when it came out, I just didn't pay enough attention. And now when I go back, I'm like, oh, there are some really great tracks on here. So this episode is kind of an ode to that kind of thing. So I think the only caveat was that they had to have like at least 3 to 4 albums, right?
Yeah, and I think the idea was like, if we think of the bands like, you know, prime years when maybe their most noteworthy albums were released, we wanted to sort of put roughly 10-ish years past that. So if a band was, you know, super big in like the 96, you'd sort of want to see something from like 2006 or even later, so into the 20 teens.
So yeah, a comeback album could work, or a reunited album, or anything like that. Anyway, it's up to you. But this is sort of our parameters for this episode. So Justin, what was your first pick?
All right. Well, there's going to be a couple common themes with my picks. Some intentional, some that have popped up through research. But I think the...
Hold on, you did research?
Oh, you know, this is professional podcasting.
Is it? Anyway, sorry, go on.
I'm assuming there's money coming in. You keep denying it, but, you know.
It's just because I'm selling pictures of you. Do you think this camera goes off when you go to sleep?
Only feet.
No, those are for me. That's personal collection stuff.
You're paying for those. Just funneling it through the podcast.
Okay, sorry, Justin. I got way off track. I got excited about the premise.
Yeah, so one of the things that I'll probably bring up a few times is a bit of surprise as to how many albums in a band is when they're sort of like, you know, this release comes out. So in this case, this is the band's 9th studio album, which is crazy to think of in terms of like, you know, how long they've been around. But I also think that this band released a new album every single year for maybe the first 5 or 6 years of their existence, which I may have even talked about back probably in our 90s or when we were doing like the specific years. Anyways, the band is Good Riddance, who actually just put out a new record this year. Did it come out this year?
Theirs hasn't come out yet.
It hasn't come out yet.
They've got
Okay,
one.
yeah.
They have one coming out.
Yeah, so this would be the album before. The album is Thoughts and Prayers. That came out in 2019 on Fat Records. I think everything about this album is like a return to form of like the comprehensive guide and what is the one right after that with Fertile Fields? Like a throwback right to that year. Even like it was recorded at Motor Studios, and finished off at the Blasting Room, which will also be a reoccurring theme. But yeah, this is like it's certainly not a throwback album. It's a return to form, I think, for Good Riddance. Unsurprisingly, the song that I picked, Edmund Pettus Bridge, starts off with a very notable sound clip from Wall Street about wealth and inequality, and very fitting for 2019, even more fitting for 2026. About just how has it started? The richest 1% own 99% of the world's wealth, or whatever, and how like democracies doesn't exist when there's such an inequality of capital, and then it just kicks right into like, high energy drums, intense guitar riffs, and a pretty catchy chorus. So really like this album. I feel like there's a couple things where I can listen to it and be like, this is like a very typical Good Riddance album. Like you're sort of 3 or 4 songs in and there's like a broken down kind of half ballad. There's a bunch of like really short, like throwback to like almost like Gorilla Biscuits sound. And then there's a couple of ones, or one specific song where Russ sings all in Spanish, which I thought was actually super impressive.
Yeah, that one was a shocker to me. But yeah, this is the first album or the first band I thought of when we talked about this topic, because they're the perfect example of like, it's not like the other albums like in between there were like bad by any means. There are albums you'd listen to, but like, I don't know if I was pressed, if I could be like, oh, this is the song off that album or whatever.
Yeah.
It would just be like, oh, that's a good song. But like when this album came out, it was like automatic listen to the whole thing and repeat listens, and like it's such a good album.
Yeah, like I don't think any of us were really looking back to Good Riddance to listen to things off like My Republic or Bound by Ties. I think, really for us, the core Good Riddance was those sort of first 3 albums, and I think this album does a great job of like tapping back into that sound.
For sure. Great pick, Justin. And also, how many times do you pick songs with Wall Street clips? Oh no, it's not Wall Street. You like the other one, right? What's the other one with like the fuck you?
Oh, Glengarry
Is
Glen
that
Ross.
Wall Street? Glengarry Ross, yeah. Sorry, I get those 2 movies mixed up for some reason in my head.
Yeah, Glengarry Glen Ross is. I probably watched that, specifically that Alec Baldwin scene, maybe every like. I don't think I'll go more than 6 months without watching it. It's so great.
Remind me never to work for you. Maybe that's how you should be running this podcast. Maybe we would make money if you ran it, not me.
All right. Next episode, we're having a contest.
Like on Seinfeld?
No,
Because I don't think we're allowed that kind of thing.
I'd be out before the episode's over.
Oh yeah, well me too. Talking about feet. My first band is also a band kind of from that 90s era that had a little bit of a lull, and then put out an album in 2020 called Revolution Spring. It's a band that we've brought up a bunch of times. Jeez, man. Okay, it's a band we've brought up a bunch of times on the podcast, but one I think is perfect for this topic. The band is the Suicide Machines. Much like Good Riddance, I would say the first two Suicide Machine albums are like classics for me, probably for you as well, I'm assuming. And then everything else after, even though they had put out a few albums, was kind of hit or miss. There's tracks that are good, nothing that really like stood out. Again, like I said, I don't think I could tell you if I heard a song if it was off one of the other albums. I don't know if you could.
Yeah,
maybe I know like If I Promised, their cover of If I Promised You a Rose Garden's on that.
That's a really good cover, but that's about the only song on that album I know. I think he's got a really nice song about his dog, but that's about it.
Yeah. And I do know they broke up a bit between this album, or between the albums and Revolution Spring. It was their first one in 15 years, so that's quite the gap. This one is reminiscent of battle hymns and destruction by definition. It's angry, political, ska punk at its best. Lyrically, it covers topics like police brutality, class warfare, racism, mental health. The album opens up with Bully in Blue, which is a total throwback to their first album. Much like that album, this album bops from upbeat ska core to tinges of hardcore and punk. And then there's a song called Flint Hostage Crisis, which differs a little bit slightly from their sound. It's maybe one of the more interesting songs on the album, and it's obviously about the water crisis in Flint, which was very topical at that time. Probably still should be. Speaking of the 1%. The album closes with a song called Cheers to Ya, which leaves the listener with a little bit of hope and on an upbeat note. Because we had a lull in this week before we recorded and making my list, I listened to this album at least 3 times this week, and I forgot how good it really was again. If you've been missing the 90s or that kind of ska-core stuff, it's the perfect time to jump back in and give this one a listen. They offer an aggressive and upbeat take through this anger and despair of right now. And the song I picked is To Play Caesar is to be Stabbed to Death.
Awesome. What a great pick. I'm a huge
Thanks,
Suicide
Justin.
Machines fan. But you're right. It's really the first 2 albums that do it for me. And when this one came out, I was just like, oh yeah, that's the band that I loved in '98. Like that was, I think such a great way of tapping back into. I think for me more like battle hymns, but yeah.
Which one do you like more, Battle Hymns or Destruction?
Destruction is definitely my favorite Suicide Machines album.
I would say so as well. Did you see that they're touring that right now?
Oh, are they really?
Like,
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Not here, but
No.
they are touring it. And then they have like, you can get a pretty wicked shirt from it. And like the album's coming out on vinyl, I think. And it's crazy overpriced because you have to order it from the States.
Yeah.
So I'll never get it. I think Nate said it was like $85 after
That's
everything.
crazy.
That's not. There's got to be a better way. It just drives me insane. Anyway,
Awesome. Great picks. First songs for Don't Call It a Comeback. I don't know what to call this episode.
don't call it a comeback. That's it.
All right. The band is Good Riddance. The album is Thoughts and Prayers, released in 2019, and the track is Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Suicide Machines. The track is To Play Caesar is to be Stabbed to Death off their 2020 album Revolution Spring.
The richest 1% of this country owns half our country's wealth, $5 trillion. You got 90% of the American public out there with little or no net worth. We make the rules, pal. The news, war, peace, famine, upheaval, the price of a paper clip. We picked that rabbit out of the hat while everybody sits out there wondering how the hell we did it. Now, you're not naive enough to think we're living in a democracy, are you, buddy?
We saw ourselves with greater dreams and learned we could not overcome our disease. Scars prosperous, obsequious, from cradle to grave they deliver to us and rip our hearts from our chest.
All right, back with our second picks for what we've decided is don't call it a comeback. Bands that have some pretty good stuff worth checking out in their later years of their catalog. Sticking with the themes for my first pick, I'm going for a band from, sort of quintessential 90s punk rock band who never really stopped putting out stuff. They had a couple lineup changes. I didn't actually realize that the singer left the band for a brief period of time and came back. But this is sort of the most reunited they could be, minus their bass player who had unfortunately passed away. The band is Pennywise. Their album that I'm going with is Never Gonna Die, released in 2018 on Epitaph Records. Pennywise had a couple super notable, landmark albums back in the 90s, and kept putting out stuff. And I don't know why some of their later releases, they had like the album with Fuck Authority, which was like...
I think that was pretty popular.
Yeah, that one is pretty popular. Never really landed with me. They had one in 2012 that's got a couple good songs on it. But I find like that... I don't know what it is about Pennywise that just like, to me, it sort of sounded like they weren't, almost like they wanted to be like The Offspring or Sum 41, or trying to be a band bigger than maybe they were. And maybe something along the way suffered, or maybe I just kind of like,
I think you get stuck in a lull of like a formula, probably. Like it happens to in all genres. You get stuck in like, this is how we write songs. It becomes formulaic. I don't know if you can be passionate about things sometimes too. And they probably hit a level of like, well, I would say that this is probably going to be a theme through most of these bands too, is like, you probably hit a level of success, but not the level, like in this genre, you're not going to hit a level of success in the same way like a pop artist is. So you're like, maybe you get somewhere and you're like, yeah, okay, so like,
yeah, there might be like a little bit of cycling there, where in order to keep touring, which sort of gives you enough money to keep living, you need to keep putting out records so that you have a reason to tour.
Yeah. And then like, I think again with this genre, I think most of these people are probably working other jobs too.
Yeah.
And you probably get into like, you're like, again, I would wager to say like some of these bands, you get into their 30s and 40s and they're like, yeah, well, like I got to work all week. I don't know if I can my boss is going to let me take 2 months off to tour. So whatever, we'll put out an album, we'll tour a little bit. And then maybe you get to like a part, like maybe their kids are older and stuff and they're like financial isn't as much a worry. And then they're like, it's more fun again, or it's like more passionate about the band again. Almost like a midlife crisis.
Yeah. That's what we all need.
Yeah.
So
it's all hypothetical in my head, but that's funny. It's a theory I have on some of these bands.
I don't know why I necessarily picked this album back up, but I do remember when it came out in 2018. I don't think I grabbed it the day that it came out, but I remember at the time listening to it and being like, this album feels just sort of more connected to the way they some of those early albums like Full Circle or Straight Ahead sounded. And I don't know if this is exactly why, but maybe it's why. It's the same, they recorded in the same studio, which is where they recorded those first couple albums when Jason Thirsk was still with us. So maybe there's something about like going back to like the place where the band started from, physically really kind of connected the band back to where they started audibly. So maybe there's something there.
Yeah, maybe. So
maybe
like
it's crystals and auras. Who knows?
Genes and workouts. One thing I will say about like before we get into the song pick and stuff, and maybe this is a weird spot to jump in, but I think again maybe these kind of bands like punk bands or like indie bands are better at this sort of comeback album too than, let's say, or not really comeback, but like finding a reform than, let's say, bands that did make it. Like when you see like a band like Metallica is a good example. That I think Metallica realized at some point they're like, okay, well, like the band that we became wasn't the band we started, and we missed being that thrash band. And then they tried to do it, but I don't think you can have that same passion if you're like a multimillionaire and you're like Metallica could play stadiums for the rest of their lives and never write a new song.
Yeah.
They can just go on it, but like they tried to, and like a person like me, I was like, I like him, but they're not. Again, you can tell it almost feels forced that they're trying to like let's write a thrash song again, like let's be that band from that. Let's write Kill 'Em All again, and you just can't do that. Whereas a band like this could come back and be like, yeah, let's find who we were again, and like do this, because we never really like eclipsed anything of like major significance. I mean, like Pennywise is probably one of the bigger bands in the genre. Like there's tons of people who know. I mean, Pennywise has played in so many sporting events. Like people know Pennywise, but like again, there's just a certain level.
Mighty Ducks money.
But like another band like Motley Crue, and Motley Crue's like, we're gonna write like a Motley Crue album. Like it doesn't ever sound like that, or even it's like the classic Simpsons thing with the BTO, get to the taking care of business part.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, sorry. A great pick, Justin. I think the only other thing that was interesting about Pennywise is like when they did switch singers. That was kind of an interesting thing. It was, I believe, it was the dude from Ignite. Is that who?
It could have been. Yeah, I actually didn't realize that Jim Lindbergh had left the band for a little bit.
So, but it doesn't sound like Pennywise then, because it sounds like his voice is so distinct for Pennywise. So it's an interesting album as well to check out. Anyway, what song did you end up picking?
I went with the track "Live While You Can." So the song sort of focuses on like a lot of Pennywise songs, just like standing up for yourself and saying that like life the way that it's carved out isn't for me, and the system that's in play isn't working, and we got to do better and do things different. And maybe that's part of it too. Is it really is like, I think, a call back to the anger or the like angst of being kids without them sounding like like they are kids, which I think is one of the funny things about like Les and Jake albums, where I'm like, come on, man, you guys are in your 40s, you can't be writing about teenage heartbreak anymore.
Well, you
like
can, but something might
mom
be
and
wrong.
Dad's house. Yeah.
Well, in fairness,
it's been 25 years. How come you haven't gotten out of Gainesville? Maybe it's not that bad.
That's hilarious. Well done, Justin. Well done. I thought about Les and Jake, and then I was like, no, nothing's eclipsed. It didn't work for this. They're sort of trudging along with albums. So my next pick it's a super odd one. So I don't know if you're going to call me out on this, but the band is Grade. The album is sort of a single called Collapsed Lung. It's an odd pick because it never really materialized into an actual comeback or anything, as far as I know. They hyped it up, and Grade released the single on Dine Alone Records in 2014, and all things pointed to a reunion and more music. Like they were playing a couple shows, and it just fizzled out. I don't think I ever heard anything else from them again.
Yeah, like you can on YouTube find like videos from those like 2014 shows, but nothing came from it after that.
Yeah, like I don't know. I never heard that they broke up. I mean, I assume they just broke up or fizzled out or whatever. But yeah. Anyway, I thought this album might be one of those overlooked things that maybe people didn't ever check out because it was such a long break in between it, and then nothing happened from it. But after 14 years, they put out 2 really awesome tracks. Like I don't know if you ever listened to it. Do you like them? This single, or did you ever listen to it?
I feel like I would have listened to it at the time, but in this moment, I can't even think of what it would have sounded like.
I mean, it sounds like Grade. Like there's a tendency for bands that do this sort of thing to try to emulate what's going on at the time.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what would have been popular probably like trying to sound indie rocky more, and they didn't do that. They just put out an album that sounds like it could have fit in right after they finished that last album. I always forget what that third or fourth album is.
Head First, Straight to Hell.
Yeah, it sounds like something off there. Both are classic Grade. It's a band I've always really loved, and some serious CanCon for those. I mean, Grade made it outside of Canada, I think. They were quite popular for a bit there on their Victory Records thing. Again, really weird. Like they just sort of disappeared and came back. Like I don't know if I never hear anything about any of those guys. Like the one guy was in that left Grade, but I think he left Grade before the
They ended
third
up in Jersey, right?
Well, I think he was in Jersey at the same time, but then he ended up in Saint Elvia Cartel.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And then the lead singer from Grade plays guitar in the Black Dahlia Murder.
Oh yeah, actually, you know what I learned? What I learned is he was in 2 other bands while he was in Grade. One of them being The Swarm, which is a band I like, but I never knew it was the dude from Grade. I always just thought they were a Florida band because it was on No Idea.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he doesn't sing in it, I don't think. But I just found that out when I was checking to see if they had done any other reunion shows since. And anyway, this is really cool. It's a great 2-song single. It's still available online, I think. I would imagine it's hard to find a physical copy of it. But it's the Collapsed Lung single, and I picked the song Unstoppable Force vs. Immovable Object, which is a very great title.
It is. That's a nice title. I like it. Okay, now I'm going to have you awkwardly repeat that in 2 seconds.
Sounds great.
For a second pick, I went with Pennywise, the album Never Gonna Die, released in 2018, and the track is Live While You Can.
Grade, Unstoppable Force versus Immovable Object off the Collapsed Lung single.
Son, you gotta believe. 'Cause when you're old and you're dying, it's so fun for you. You gotta live while you can till your days are all through. And I don't know why the cold wind blows, man. I don't know about all I've read. I just know that the days are numbered, and this is what he said. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. One day I met a young man, he said, get out of my way. I got some living to do and there's no time to delay. 'Cause when you're old and you're dying, it's so fun for you. Till your days are all through. And I don't know why the cold wind blows, man. I don't know about all I've read. I just know that the days are numbered, and this is what he said. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. Got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. So let's go. And I don't know why the cold wind blows, man. I don't know about all I've read. I just know that the days are numbered, and this is what he said. I got a time bomb ticking in my head, ticking in my head. Got a time bomb
All right, third picks, making your way to the halfway point. In keeping with the first two picks, this is like another classic 90s punk rock band, also out of California. So really diversity, a lot of diversity in my picks so far. Unsurprisingly, this record was also recorded at the Blasting Room with Bill Stevenson from All. It actually makes me want to like pick up and really kind of go through his entire discography and see how many things he's put out. It's crazy how much comes out of that studio.
Oh, so many things. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. It's almost like a requirement to put out something on Fat Records. I think maybe there's some, I don't know, kickback there. Or maybe Fat Mike owns part of it. I have no idea.
I think I saw a documentary about it when in the Descendants thing. It's just him.
It is just him?
Yeah.
Anyways, he does good work.
Yeah.
This is the 8th studio album from the Santa Barbara. They're from Santa Barbara?
I don't know who you're talking about. So
Somewhere from 8th studio album from Lagwagon.
Yeah, I think, or Santa Barbara. I think you're right.
Yeah, maybe.
Good Riddance is from Santa Cruz? Santa something.
Yeah, somewhere between San Francisco and LA, presumably on the ocean. Just guessing. This is the, like I said, the 8th studio album came out in 2014 after quite a long hiatus. So their previous release was 9 years prior. It was the album was Resolve, which I don't think really hit that hard for me.
No, me either.
Again, yeah, like it sort of might have been one of those things where it's one of those albums that the band had evolved in their sound, but not to where at the time I would have thought I would have wanted them to go. And then this album came out and it hit so hard. I'm like, this sounds awesome. I think this is actually my favorite Lagwagon album.
Ooh, that's high praise.
Yeah, it's I'm trying to think of what I would like more from a totality of an album perspective. I had a really hard time picking a single song off this album. I think this album is phenomenal. And what might have actually helped it in that way is much in the same way that we've talked about how Tony Sly's acoustic stuff really highlighted him as a singer. Through this sort of 9 or 10 year gap, Joey Cape from Lagwagon did a lot more solo work. And I think some of that stuff, both for me as a listener, helped craft or sort of helped me appreciate him more as a songwriter and a lyricist, and then for him probably just helped his continuous craft of songwriting, even if it was without the band. So this song I did go with for this is the song Drag, which was one of his solo one of the songs he did as a solo project that is sort of reimagined for this album. But there's, I think just so many good songs on this album. I would say it's like their angriest album, where they just I think he pushes his vocals to like a new limit. I think the band sounds heavier, almost like propagandy without the thrash. I think the guitars are like really kind of come through on this one, just like chunky and ragey. The drumming work is phenomenal. Yeah, I love it. I have so many good things to say about this album, and if I was to pick, I'll double down on it. If I was to pick one Lagwagon album to listen to for the rest of my life, I think it would be this one.
That's a super bold statement that I'm sure someone in our WhatsApp chat is going to get mad at you for.
It'll be a spreadsheet.
It's fair to say, I mean, it's a phenomenal album. I would say Lagwagon is in this genre, Lagwagon is one of the more consistent bands. Like, there is a little bit of a lull there, but when this came out, I was just like, oh man, this is so good. And like I said, I think it's just like, it's angry and it's like, I don't know, it just feels reinvigorated.
Yeah, it definitely, it's sort of like this pent up, rage of just like, it's 9 years of like bones to pick and things to say.
Bones to pick.
Yeah. I think it just he comes out swinging on this one, and I'm here for all of it.
Yeah, perfect. Great pick. I'm glad you picked it. My next pick is not so angry. It's the Get Up Kids and their album Problems. This is the Get Up Kids' 6th album. It's their 2nd album after reuniting and getting back together in 2008. And then they took another hiatus. Much like the other albums I talked about, the first few Get Up Kids albums are staples in my record collection. I would assume same with you, Justin. I know how much you like Something to Write Home About, specifically 10 Minutes. And we've talked about them a numerous amount of times on the podcast. But like, yeah, those first 2 albums are so good. And then Guilt Show, I really like. It took me a bit to get in there. On a Wire, I still struggle to listen to. Going back now, I like it a little bit more than I did when it came out. I think I just wasn't ready for that kind of sound at the time. And I have liked all their little side quests, like Matt Pryor's Solar stuff's awesome. Blackpool Lights is pretty good. To some extent, Reggie and the Full Effect is okay. So I was super excited when they reunited. And then the 2011 album, There Are Rules, just never really did it for me. I don't think there's a song on there that I really love, which is maybe I should go back and listen to that one too, because I haven't in years. But it's just not a great album in my opinion. And then I assumed they had fizzled out because I didn't really hear much about them. And in the end of 2019, they put out Problems. It's kind of the perfect album for this episode. It was a real return to form. It's not Something to Write Home About or 4 Minute Mile, but it would rank up there for me. It's a good balance of nostalgia and evolution, which is maybe key to this topic. Like enough throwback, but not sounding like you tried to repeat yourself. And just incorporating everything that they've learned along the way. Is like there's elements of all their albums, and then sort of the stuff that's been going on music-wise. Anyways, there's a little bit more indie rock in there and stuff like that. I don't think you can ever just copy your sound and force it to be the same, which is, I guess, key to making a good quote-unquote comeback album. It took me a bit to figure out which song I wanted to pick, but I ended up going with the song Selena, which is really good. And yeah, I thought it just had a little bit of this new and old all in that one song, and that's why I went with it.
Awesome. Mike, I'm going to go back and check out this album because, aside from their first few things, I think I just sort of like lost track and lost interest in this band. But good to hear there is stuff further down the line that's worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of this episode.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great.
It's easy to like forget about them because, yeah, Matt Pryor did go write and do like a ton of stuff, and he's got a distinct voice and style too, right? So like,
yeah, very much so. Awesome. For the third pick, I've gone with Lagwagon. The song is Drag off the 2014 album Hang.
Get Up Kids, Selena off the album Problems.
I'm not growing younger, and it's a short drive to an accident. I'm not sure when we'll get there. Just be patient. Oxygen waning, and someday we'll have to fight for it. Devoted to wasting a love that's not fair. I have a feeling Colorado's air is not worth breathing now. I quit when I was 30.
Fourth picks for Don't Call It a Comeback, exploring albums further along in the catalog from a number of very well-known bands. In keeping with, really like the giants of 90s SoCal punk rock, it would be hard not to mention this band. This is coming out, the album is coming out 25 years, I believe, after their first release. The band is Face to Face. The album is Protection. That was released in 2016 on Fat Records. This is the 10th studio album by Face to Face, and only the only the second album that doesn't have Disconnected on it. So,
I'm sure they tried.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Which I know will always take the dig at the band, and they, I think, do it to themselves too. But hey, when you write what might be the best skate punk song of all time, why wouldn't you put it on more albums than just one? That's my second bold statement of the podcast.
That is a very bold statement. I don't even know if I'll argue with that. That is probably one of the quintessential 90s skate punk songs. Or fat record punk songs, kind of whatever it is, whatever that genre you'd call. I don't know if it's necessarily skate. Yeah, whatever. It is still, it's timeless. Put it on everything. Might as well use that riff a couple times extra in songs too.
For sure. So Protection follows up on their 2013 release, 3 Chords and a Half Truth. There's a number of releases in there where, again, I just feel like similar to a band like Pennywise, where Face to Face were regarded like sort of held in such high regard in the 90s that when they're putting out stuff in the 2000s, it's probably a mix of like the fans from the 90s have moved out of the genre, aren't listening to that sound, have moved on to hardcore or emo or indie rock or whatever the case may be. And there's probably a mix of the bands trying to hold on to fans, but also just fans, moving on in terms of what they're listening to. I think Protection is a great example of sort of like going back to basics, the things that have worked in the past, and releasing an album that would fit in the 90s as much as it does, 20 plus years later in 2016. There's something about this album, I think it's the mix of the recording where it's super clean and tight, unsurprisingly recorded at the blasting room. It's 3 out of the 4 so far, Mike, out of the same studio, and they've all been on Fat Records except for Pennywise. That was on Epitaph. It's almost the same thing. So I'm being very consistent with my themes. This album is the one that reminded me the most of like Don't Turn Away, or just like classic Face to Face, so much so that there's songs on this album that I wouldn't necessarily think that they're from 2016 and think that they're from 1996, which I think is like a testament to finding a sound and re-engaging fans that that really were the reason that they made it so big in the 90s.
Yeah, so like the thing with Face to Face, and I'm not trying to shit on anything just before I say this, but like when they put out that major label album, I feel like they were a band that was like, okay, we're gonna make it big. Now we have to like muddy our sound a little bit to be more radio friendly, or whatever. Like I find that I always forget what that album's called, the one with the guy looking in the mirror. Like to me, that album sounded
Don't Turn Away.
Yeah. Is that Don't Turn Away?
Yeah, I think so. Isn't it? Oh no, sorry. No.
I don't know what it's called. But anyway, I think that's the one that came out on the major label. And I know it's got like one of their bigger hits on it, but I always found like it just felt so radio at the time. I mean, that's probably like 17-year-old Mike being super snobby about it. But I felt like they got stuck in that lull of trying to walk that line between keeping the old fans, but like being commercial. And then when they started putting out these later albums, they went back to being like, fuck it. We're not a commercial. We don't need to be commercial. We have our fan base of...
Yeah, we are who we are. Yeah.
Yeah, we are who we are. And it got better again for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
They did have a song on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack that was electronica. So,
Did they really?
I am like 90% sure.
Huh.
I might have made that up, but I don't think I did. Someone will call me out on it if I'm wrong.
Maybe.
Mortal Kombat.
We'll look into it. That's a fact check.
I'll close the episode with it.
Yeah, I really like this album. Just I think so much shines on it, and just like the way like a really tight 3-piece band, punk band should sound, where like the bass carries as much of the melody as the guitars do. The drums just drive the whole thing at kind of Mach speed, and it all just kind of comes together in a great way for Face to Face.
I think for this genre too, like his voice is fairly palatable for a lot of people, compared to a lot of other bands. So it works always. Like he has a pretty nice, like he actually like a good singing voice or carrying voice. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they sort of like he grew out of that like very like open jaw California thing, and then just sings like, you know, with a lot more, I think, intent, and it works well. I actually, and just sort of realizing this, I went and saw Face to Face probably it would have been like either 2016 or 2017. They would have been touring for this album, and the show was at Mac Hall, like the old ballroom. And
wait, the old ballroom still has shows?
Well, this was like 10 years ago.
Oh.
But yeah, for sure, it was upstairs in the ballroom.
That's one of my favorite venues, the old ballroom.
Yeah, it's great. So many good memories. What was awesome about the show is there were so many kids there, like where their parents had taken them, that instead of like, you know, the pit with the crowd surfing, it was like, you know, sort of toddlers and kids on their parents' shoulders. The show, I think, started at 7:30 and was done by 9:30. Like, it was over so early.
Hey, they're playing to their audience they know.
Exactly. It was such a great, we know who we are. We know who our audience is.
So that concept is what I was trying to get it for. I think these bands know that, and that makes the newer stuff sound more real, because you're not forcing anything. You're just like, you know, you're doing it for what it is, for their fans, for fun, for like,
for each other,
like that sort of thing. So I think it starts becoming more real again. It starts becoming less of a trope. For
sure. Yeah.
All right. Anything else about Face to Face? No.
I went with the opening track.
Disconnected.
It's it's not called Disconnected. It could be. The song is Bent But Not Broken, which I think is just a great way to open up this album and sort of set the tone for the rest of the album. It's worth a really good listen through. So if you haven't listened to anything recent from Face to Face, this is a great album to pick back up.
Cool, Justin. I really do like that album a lot. My next band's a little bit different than Face to Face. It is a band that broke up in 2001 at the peak of them breaking into the mainstream. The members were burnt out, frustrated, and began to focus on other projects. The band is At the Drive-In. Their other projects were Mars Volta and Sparta. At the Drive-In reformed in 2009, played a bunch of shows to mixed responses, sort of fizzled out again in 2012, never recorded anything again, and again moved towards side projects. This whole thing is well documented online or in a book like Sellout, and probably articles and stuff like that. Better told in those places than I could ever write or talk about. There's a lot of drama and a lot of craziness and a lot of weird stuff that happened. The quintessential thing of a band blowing up quicker than they were ready for, I would say. Mm-hmm. Is that the way to describe that? Probably how they like.
Yeah, I don't think they expected to be as big, as quick as they did. And then I think that put just so much pressure on them to like
be something that they didn't want to be.
Yeah.
or weren't ready for.
Yeah. Or actually, it was when I was reading Sellout, like I went back and like watched like literally hours one night of like old footage from At the Drive-In, like their first shows, like shows where they're playing in front of nobody at like a country, like county fair kind of thing. And their like sheer explosiveness on stage. It would be hard to keep that going for like year after year, or even for like, you know, a full tour. Like it would be like exhausting.
Yeah, this is a band, I mean, I wish I could have seen at that point in the career. Like I've seen Mars Volta a couple times, and I believe I saw Sparta once, and maybe I saw Jim Ward do when he was, I think he's in Sleeper Car, and I think I saw that once at like a small place like the Marquee Room. But like to see at the drive-in before, would be like seeing Refused before The Shape of Punk to come, like exploded, like sort of on that level of like, it's something that probably only a chunk of people got to see. And I'm sure there's people that said they saw it and never did. But anyway, back to my thing. The band ended up reuniting again and began to work on a new album and touring. It was over a period of time this all happened. Shows were planned. I think they did play some shows. At some point, Jim Ward was replaced by Keely Davis because it was decided that he wasn't healthy enough from addiction, I think, to potentially tour an album or put the effort into the band. I don't think it was anything personal. I think it was like a mutual, like, hey, I can't put my body through this, or I
can't do this right now.
I can't do this. I'm not ready. So in 2017, after 17 years, the album came out. It is called Inter Alia. It felt like one of those albums I was listened to once and was like, oh, that's cool. It's an At the Drive-In album. Maybe was a little bit excited for, and then never really went back to it. I feel like the reviews on that were sort of a similar thing. Like there were a lot of were pretty blah, saying the band was trying to recapture something that they couldn't recapture. And I'm sure I felt that way too. But when I was making this list, I said, you know what, I'm going to give this band another go. I want to see what this sounds like. And it really just hit the spot. So I've been listening to it a bunch over the last little while. It's a much better album than I ever thought it was. It doesn't feel like it's forced. Like I think originally I'm like, oh, okay, like this is a forced album. They're trying to they need some money or whatever they want to do. They want to recapture everything. And it just does not feel like that now when I listen to it. I'm like, it's a much better album. I guess sometimes when time passes and you revisit something without lofty expectations, you can see it in a better light. I think that was the problem. Is like you're like, okay, At the Drive-In's reuniting. It's gonna be they're gonna blow me away with this album, and it didn't blow you away. And now without that preconceived notion, it's a much better album. Lots of great tracks on here. I went with a song called Incurably Innocent, which is about Cedric's wife's sexual assault at the hands of Danny Masterson, and how Scientology played a part in this whole thing. And there's a whole crazy story if anybody wants to read into that, but it's pretty fucked up. And the song is more so about speaking out and coming forward, which I believe they were both Scientologists at the time, which I think was a big scary thing for them to do, to turn their back on that and then face the wrath of Scientology, and on top of that, celebrity of sorts. Anyway, it's a great song, great album. Again, if you maybe listened to it in 2017 and were underwhelmed, I would suggest giving it another go.
Yeah, I think similar to the Get Up Kids, I think this is like the sort of reunion album that never hit for me. But like you said, the whole point of this episode is to get us back listening to some of that later catalog stuff. I think what's interesting about At the Drive-In in particular is like, you know, they split into, you know, primarily Sparta and Mars Volta, who were both very successful on their own. So it's not like, not to say that any of the other bands are doing this as like a cash call or like trying to, doing it because they sort of need the money. Like there's a sort of, to me, a genuine want to reform as At the Drive-In and write the music, that meant so much to all of the members from back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think they even played that many shows after. Like I think after this they just sort of fizzled out again, or
I think there was a breakup shortly after.
Yeah, like I don't know the whole story, but
I think they're also like generally weird dudes in that band.
Yeah, I think yes. That's basically what I got from anything that I've researched or anything, is that there's a lot of stuff going on all sorts of levels.
Did you see the Mars Volta? I've only seen them once, and they were opening for the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That's when I saw them.
At the Saddle Dome.
Yeah.
And it was a weird show.
Yeah, it was so weird. And I actually liked the first Mars Volta album a lot. After that, I don't like them. But that was probably one of the like weirdest shows, and it was like a don't look away because I was like, is something going to happen? But it was just fucked up and weird.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah, I
weird that
remember
we're-
my brother saying that there was another Mars Volta show. I don't think that he had gone to, but read online somewhere where halfway through the show, after a handful of songs, he just sat at the front of the stage and typed on a typewriter for 22 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Just the sound of an old mechanical typewriter. And then the band sort of came back out. I'm like, what? Who?
that's worse than hearing a drum solo for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
No offense, Justin.
Nobody wants to hear any sort of solo for 20 minutes. Certainly not a typewriter solo.
Although, is that my way into a band finally? I can play the typewriter. I can do a mean typewriter.
For the fourth pick of the later catalog discoveries, I went with the one of the all-time classics. The band is Face to Face. The album is Protection, released in 2016, and the song is Bent But Not Broken.
At the drive-in, Incurably Innocent off their 2017 release Inter Alia.
Why are we still so surprised every time we buy the lie? Whoa. Why don't we pursue the truth even when it's hard to do? Whoa. And all we want is to believe it's okay if we slightly deceive. Maybe we're missing the point that we're listening to liars and thieves. Whoa, but you just won't break. Whoa, some things will never change. Why are we so slow to say they figured out another way? Whoa. Why are we so quick to judge anyone who's not like us? Whoa. And all we want is to believe it's okay if we're slightly deceived. Maybe we're missing the point that we're listening to liars and thieves. Whoa, but you just won't break. Whoa, some things will never change.
Welcome back. I hope you've been enjoying this episode. Justin, you're hanging in there. You're not collapsed on the ground yet. It's all good. Talent.
Yeah, I would say surviving, thriving would definitely be a stretch.
Yeah, you look pretty good. You don't look too sick. You handling it. The chills are okay.
Yeah, I haven't hit the deep chills or anything yet. Those will, I'm sure, come later this evening.
Let's try to get you out of here then quicker. Thank you to everyone for listening to this episode and to our podcast. It means the world to both of us that people care about us. Thank you to the WhatsApp group for all the interesting conversations, the friendship, and for the music suggestions and arguments and all that jazz. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, get in touch with us and we can hook you up. Thank you to anyone that has submitted a list or interacted with us in any sort of way or left a comment on our podcast on any of the streaming services or on Instagram or anything like that, or for sharing our podcast. If you want to send in a list for this episode or any other episodes, we love checking them out. I'm guessing the list for this episode could be super interesting because I'm sure there's a lot of albums we've missed along the way or neglected that deserve a revisit. If you're new here, you can like or subscribe to our podcast on whatever service you use. You can get in touch via our Instagram account at High Fives Podcast. You can subscribe on Substack, where we keep you up to date with the episodes and it has links to listener lists and the albums we've been listening to, etc. I believe the address for that is highfivespunkrockpodcast.substack. If you like our podcast and you think someone you know might be into it, please share with them, because that matters more to us than any sort of algorithm or forced listen on a streamer. But I think if you like us on those streamers and stuff, it helps us also get noticed. So keep that up. Justin, thank you so much for hanging in there and doing this episode. I know it was a lot today, so I appreciate you muscling through this, and it's always a pleasure to hang out with you and talk music. I do have one question for you before we get to your next pick.
Let's have it.
Sorry?
I said let's have it.
Let's have it. I just thought of this now as I was doing this thank you list, but is there a band that you listen to that you would want to have an album like this? Like that doesn't actually have
Oh, Mike, this is such a great question. Yeah, I would love to hear Under Oath put out an album that sounded like they're only chasing safety, which is one of my favorite emo core screamo albums.
with a religious
and that's
kick?
a band.
Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like that band just they have some pretty good albums afterwards, and then they got really heavily digital, mixed with very super heavy metalish, and it just didn't really sit the way that They're Only Chasing Safety did, or even the Changing of the Times, which was I think the album before, a couple before, with the old singer. It's not that same sound, I don't think. And to no fault of the band, you gotta write music that you want to be interested in too. But I would love to hear another album that sounded like that, or even this is sort of adjacent to this, is Thrice re-recorded. The artist is the artist in the ambulance, right?
Yeah.
With different musicians on it, and I thought that was such a great idea. I think that's such a cool way to tap back into kind of a landmark album. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, or the band that you would want to see do this?
So interesting. I was thinking Thrice, but because I don't like that at all. I didn't like it at all. I wanted to like it. I didn't like it. I would love to see Thrice write another album like that. I respect. I mean, I don't like any of the new Thrice, but I respect that they were hey, this isn't who we are anymore. This isn't the kind of music we want to play anymore, and we're going to evolve. And I think they have an entirely different fan base that loves that sound that they do. I don't think there's anything wrong with what they did. I just selfishly would love to hear them come out with an album that was like akin to I can't even think of the album. What's the second album? Before
Illusions of Safety.
Yeah, like I would just love for them to follow up with an album that had that style again. Another band I was thinking about, and a band we talked about last episode, which I should apologize for. I played the wrong song from this band from last episode. Just Justin, I'm sorry that I played the wrong Gob song. That was the product of digitization of albums back in the day, where you maybe didn't even check to see that you had the right song titles.
Yeah.
At the time, and assuming it was the right song, but the band was Gob. I would love Gob to write another like snotty punk rock album, like like
actually that'd be awesome.
Like if they could pull that off without, and I would love to hear an album like that. And those are two I was thinking about. Maybe Melancholy was another album, but I feel like Melancholy's albums have always just been steady. Maybe I just want another Melancholy album.
Yeah, I feel like they have been super steady. Like there's certainly progression and growth, but not not a change in direction like a band like Thrice have.
So for the regular listeners or any listener, if you're as a band that hasn't done one and you think of it, I would also like to hear that. Feel free to send that to us along with your list.
Such a great question. How insightful, Mike.
Well, that's not what I am really. But Justin, let's hear your last pick so you can go to bed and take some more cold medicine and bunker down and get better. So that we can hang out in real life without me worrying about getting sick.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this passes quickly. My last pick actually ties really well into that last discussion point, and specifically on Thrice, because that re-recording that I liked and you did not features the lead singer of the band from my last pick. It was also the original artist in the Ambulance was recorded by the guy that recorded this album, who I've talked about a lot, which is Brian McTernan.
I feel like you need to meet this guy.
Yeah, he's put out so much stuff that like him and Bill Stevenson. I think that's probably like a good 75% of my entire listening library is from those two guys.
Sorry, go on.
I knew as soon as I mentioned it, or actually as soon as I realized that he had produced this album, and a bunch of their previous ones, I'm like, I know Mike's going to say something when I bring this up. This I think is such a great return to form for this band. They're not really from the 90s, maybe a couple years past that, although I'm sure they might have put stuff out in the 90s. I'm not sure. The band is Hot Water Music, and the album I'm returning to is Feel the Void, which was released in 2022. I think this is their 9th studio album. They've gone through, this is sort of the album that marks like the big change where Chris Woolard recorded the album, but he wouldn't tour with the band, and they pulled in Chris Cresswell, who then appears on their next album, Vows, which is also a great album. I think Hot Water Music to me is a band I went back and listened to. I can't say that I genuinely listened to them a lot in the early 2000s, but listened to them a lot since, and certainly like A Flight in a Crash and Caution are probably like the hallmark releases from Hot Water Music. And this album, I think, just sort of fits so well back into that sound. I remember when they put out like the teasers for this album, and the song "Killing Time," which is the track I went with, and I'm like, within 6 seconds of this, between it's basically as soon as Chuck Reagan starts singing, I'm like, holy shit, this is going to be awesome. And the album delivers. I think there's a number of really great songs on this one, and I think it's just a great album from Hot Water Music.
Awesome. Like you, I don't think I really listened to Hot Water Music much when they first came out. It really was actually Chuck Reagan's solo stuff that got me into Hot Water Music, which is kind of funny. Like once I started liking his solo stuff, I went back and really liked Hot Water Music, which I think is maybe the opposite for a lot of people. But
yeah, I think in a lot of ways I was the same.
And I mean, I would say if you said that Disconnected was one of the best punk rock songs. I would say Trusty Chords would be up there.
Oh, Trusty Chords it's like an absolute all-timer.
Yeah. So it's the org core version of Disconnected.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how many times I hear it, it's awesome. Great pick, Justin. It's a really good album and perfect for this topic. I feel like, do they have a new one coming out too? No, maybe not. Maybe I made that up. No, Flatliners has one. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think Flatliners have a new one coming out
shortly here.
this year, like really quickly. Yeah.
So the band I picked for my last one is one of my favorite bands. Again, I feel a little bit weird putting on here because I feel like I'm ripping a band that I legit love. The band is Samiam. The album is Trips that came out in 2011. Samiam's like 90s albums were so good and played a huge role in shaping my music taste. Once I heard You Are Freaking Me Out, it really moved me in a direction of music that I hadn't really thought about or listened to. More of a melodic sound rather than the standard Fat Records skate punk sound.
For sure, like fast skate punk.
Yeah, like just it just played such a big role in me expanding my music horizon, which is funny because it's not really like a giant leap by any means. I mean, it's still in that same genre, and they had been around since the 80s and put out stuff part of that whole scene. When they put out Whatever's Got You Down, I didn't really dislike it, but I feel like that was just like being a homer. I just really don't like that album. I tried to listen to it again. They've remixed it now, and it is like much better. It came out remixed in 2013, and it's much better. But it would never be an album I pick to listen to or to show somebody a Sam I Am song. It just felt like a forced album. Like they were like, we should put out a Sam I Am album. So when Trips came out, I wasn't really in a rush to listen to it. I mean, I was excited, but I wasn't like, I just assumed it was going to be like I was done with them or something like that.
Yeah.
And they'd been on a hiatus for a while, and time had left me kind of bored. I think it was 5 or 6 years in between that album. But when I finally listened to it, it just blew me away. They recaptured so much of the sound that I loved. It was a lot more like Ashtray, and it's just a lot more melodic in nature, like that album. For an 8th album in discography, it was refreshing and exciting. And like I said, made me fall in love with the band all over again. Production's great. I'm sorry, I didn't check where they recorded it, but there's a good chance it was the Blasting Room.
Let's go with, I'm sure it was, yeah.
The songs lyrically dealt with topics that, like we had talked in the opener, most aging music lovers listen and relate to. Themes of failure and aging and a new grown-up perspective on life. There aren't any duds on the album. I went back and forth on so many of the tracks, but I landed on maybe the most different of the songs. It's called Happy For You, which is the closer. It kind of reminded me how this band has a knack of sticking that sort of softer gem on all their albums. And Happy For You is just such a perfect closer for the album, and it's one that it just resonated with me always when I listen to it. Yeah, that's why I ended up that one. I mean, there's so many great songs, like El Dorados. I play that song all the time. So anyway, if you haven't listened to this album, I suggest listening to it. If you like Sam I Am, you'll like it. If you don't like Sam I Am, I don't know if it's going to sell you on it, but I'm a big Sam I Am fan, obviously. So
yeah, this is awesome, Mike. I think like a number of your other picks, it makes me want to go. I'm going to go back and check it out because I thought Stowaway, which I feel like just came out, but maybe it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I really liked. I thought it was a great release, but I haven't gone back and listened to Trips at all. So
you should
be sure to check it out.
It's really good.
Yeah,
really,
awesome.
Really good. I don't know if this is the song that I would sell you on the album with, so I apologize, but listen to it anyway. You'll like it, especially if you like the last one. Yeah, Stowaway is a really good album too. So, and same with,
I really did like it.
I mean, any of the side projects these guys do are usually pretty good too. So
for sure, yeah. My last song is Gainesville's Hot Water Music off the album Feel the Void. The song is Killing Time.
Sam I Am, Happy For You off Trips. Thank you for listening. Stay cool and be excellent to each other. And Justin, get better.
I won't be sick until the next recording.
My skin is crawling, deafening echo. The stench is appalling, can't seem to let go. Bring my left to hold. Down in water, but skin with blood and bone. Round my patience, breathe out all I own. I'm anxious, killing time. Hey! Break my silence, nothing left to hold. Down in water, skin with blood and bone. Round my patience, scream out all I own. I'm anxious, killing time. Break my silence, nothing left to hold. Down in water, skin with blood and bone. Round my patience, scream out all I own. I'm anxious, killing time.
Look ahead, the lights are red. I know I should have called and said I wouldn't be there at the time agreed upon. I thought that you would wait for me. I don't know why it's hard for me to be on time. Sitting at the table all alone. You look so pretty. I can't believe it. You say that you are leaving.
Cool. I think we're done, you guys.
Let's get out of here.
No, there's just one more thing I want to talk to you about. This about Disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, K-Rock have just gone on it.
Yeah.
We're starting to get a lot of airplay, and I just wanted you to talk to you about putting it on the new Big Choice album.
Disconnected?
Absolutely.
Wait.
Absolutely. I think it's got a place on there.
I don't know. We already talked about this.
I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's so cool.
Well, it may not. You may not think it's cool because you've been playing it for 3 years, right? That's the only problem you've got.
Yeah,
with it.
we've been playing it
But
forever,
that's a big
man.
problem.
We've hashed over and over this song. We don't want to drive it into the ground.
But you guys, you gotta understand that it's a good song.
I know, but
to
our whole,
we're over it.
but to, God,
It's all well you saying that. You may be over it, but there's millions of people out there who've not heard it yet.
Just
to them it's
millions.
a new
Yeah, but
song.
it's dead already.
another reason for people to call us sellouts.
Yeah, we don't want to lose the credibility
Wait a
with our
minute,
following
don't-
and all
just
that.
a second. Don't talk to me about sellouts. I run a record company here. You know.
But we're the band.
Right, you care about selling records. We care about making good music.
Not screwing everybody
Not
around.
trying to.
I think,
Bullshit,
I think
guys.
you're absolutely wrong. I think we've got to do this, and it's the best idea.
But I don't want to do
Hey, no offense, Phil, but there's no way in hell this song's going on this record.
Choose your destiny. Flawless victory. Choose your destiny. Flawless victory. Fight.
That's the old goal. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock you out. Mama said knock you out. I'm gonna knock